rolling on this meeting. Jim Wheeler did tell me he might be running a few minutes late. So we're just shy, him and Kathy. Otherwise, we've got our group and I think we can. We are meeting by electronic means because we've determined in our prior discussion that the content of the meeting is essential business, but we do need someone to make a motion to that end so we can approve that this meeting is essential business and should be conducted by electronic means. Anyone can make that motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Susan. Does anyone want to second that motion?
I'll go ahead and second it.
Thank you, Brenda. Great. So, and Sherry, I haven't heard your voice yet. Are you with us and can I hear you?
I am here. I was helping Joe sign on to another meeting, so I'm kind of.
Woohoo! Just kidding. Thank you for doing that and for your hard work. And Michelle, I haven't heard your voice yet either. You're with us, right? Just making sure. Michelle, are you here?
Yes, I am. I'm on the phone. Sorry.
It's okay. Sorry. No worries. Okay, great. So we are moving hopefully somewhat quickly through an agenda. It begins with, and I apologize, I meant to start this meeting with a moment of reflection and I got carried away with all of our discussion about last night and this morning and the folks in the jail, and it's all just very distracting to me. And it's irony because that is exactly why I wanted to start the meeting with a moment of reflection. We have so much going on in our country right now. We know that our fellow Americans are suffering from the fallout of a wide range of challenges, including a pandemic, and now, you know, kind of bunch of recent events that underscore a long-standing history of injustice in our country. And there's a lot going on in our minds. And I thought it would be good to just spend just a moment quietly sort of witnessing that and also setting an intention for our meeting today. So if you would just join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, item number 1 is updates regarding improvements to communication in the courthouse. And Brenda, you had brought up some ideas and we had all talked about some things that Susan might be working on. Susan, you even kind of already had some inroads on that. Any action or activities at the courthouse since our last, and by this I mean the Justice Center, of course, since our last conversation?
No, not really. Susan, where did we stand with the guy that was going to upgrade the sound?
The
or give us
sound?
a
Right. He
quote?
was, let's see, he gave you sent him some stuff. He was giving you some things. And if I could grab this phone call just very quickly, this is about tonight's meeting.
Oh, sorry, it's okay.
This is Susan.
Was this somebody that you and Susan were interacting with about the dockets, the electronic panels and putting the docket on there?
It was actually 2 different things, Jody, but I'm not really dealing with Susan so much with the electronic dockets as I am BCTI. It was just the sound system in the downstairs courtrooms. It made me just think of it real quick when you said, is there anything going on? I've been dealing with that with the mayor, and the mayor had Susan bring over some gentleman I walked around months ago, and he wanted to see a previous quote, which I took out, you know, a lot of stuff he's not allowed to see from another company. he was going to send me his quote. I have yet to see that. I don't remember the guy's name. It was months ago. Months and months ago.
It wasn't,
So, but I am still working, yes, on putting the dockets up on the monitors.
and is that something that Susan can be helpful to you with? I mean, that's really about communication to the public. So that's sort of why I wondered.
Not at this stage yet, Jody. Where our holdup is, when these monitors were installed, the software is outdated. So BCTI is helping me deal with the company, and we are trying to figure out what we need to do because we can't get the software to talk to what we need to because it's outdated. So not there yet with Susan. We have to get these up and running first and figure out where the actual server is going to be. And then she may be able to definitely come in.
All right, great. That extra insight is really helpful, and I made some notes about that, and I appreciate your updates on that, Brenda. That's helpful. I'm glad you're looking into all that stuff. Anything, Susan, that you would add?
I'm sorry, I jumped back in about the time Brenda was talking about.
Oh, it's totally fine. She was just saying that she needs to do some work on some outdated software before
Right.
bring you in on the docket / monitor issue, and that there's a downstairs courtroom that you all had volleyed around about
Yes.
a couple months ago, and just lack an estimate from someone, and I don't know who that someone is.
It's a former Commissioner Todd Hensley.
That's who I was going to guess.
Yeah.
That's who it is. Yeah, I couldn't think of his name.
Yeah. So he's very familiar with our courtrooms and how, especially courtroom 7 does not function very well for the commission. But I think there's some issues with sound when that courtroom is used just as a regular courtroom.
So it sounds like nothing has happened on this since our last call. Is there a feeling from you, Susan, that's just not a high priority item?
It's not a high priority.
We're not really meeting in person right now anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. At the same time, that's
But
probably.
it's been on the list.
Yeah.
I hate to do this again, but this is Commissioner Fitzgerald. Hold on. I'm
Oh
sorry.
my goodness, okay. It's all right. This is a crazy day for this meeting. It sounds like something we can probably put to the bottom of the list until we get to a point where we're getting close to having in-person meetings, which that could be next month. So maybe it's not going to be at the bottom of the list for much longer.
Do we need to reschedule this, Jody?
You can see Susan's on the phone, and I think she's just answering a quick question from Commissioner Fitzgerald. So I would like to give her like one more. She's hanging up. Okay. Sorry, sister. Hey, Brenda was just asking if this might be something we want to reschedule just because of the chaos with tonight.
I think maybe. I didn't expect everyone to start calling me back at the same time.
Is it questions about, is it just questions about where to go tonight and
where to go? And I don't know if I've said it out loud to you yet. Yes, I did, about parking behind the building.
Yeah, behind the building. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's do this. Let's have you report in on the internal / external email proposal.
Yes.
And if you get caught in another call, we will reschedule. We'll just hang up and reschedule them.
It's usually not like this, I promise.
It's okay.
All righty. So we sent out our first mayoral update this past week in a bulleted format so that all of our employees and department heads could read it. I'd had some folks send out an indication that maybe, an HTML format might not work for everyone. And that was on updates about the buildings opening up and what procedures we were going to have in place.
Susan, can I interrupt you there? I didn't get that email.
You didn't? You
And
were
it
on it.
didn't, I did not know, don't think I was. I didn't get anything last week. And
Did
then
it
I
come
also,
from your email address, Susan?
Yeah, it came from my email address. It went to commissioners. It went to, well, no, I take that back. It came from Joe's email address. It didn't come from me. It came from the mayor.
and where I didn't get it, I did not forward it on to employees. I did forward your message this morning and wrote a message to go along with it on the
Yeah, that was kind of
face
funny because
mask.
I had sent that out and then I think it was about 5 minutes later you sent it out. So some of them may have gotten it twice, but that's okay.
So are you saying now that you have an employee database that you are emailing
No.
employees directly?
If
Okay.
you read that email, I sent it to department heads and elected officials and asked them to forward that on to to let their employees know. I do not have an employee database.
Okay. Because I forwarded the one on the face mask to the employees to let them know. But I did not get the message last week about opening and that kind of thing. So I did not forward that on to employees.
That went to all department heads. Sherry sent that out and elected officials and the commission from Joe. Since it's his update, it came, we had it sent from his email.
Okay. Well, as a department head of a one-person department, I didn't get it. So I didn't share it with any other employees. I just want to make that clear.
Okay.
So definitely want to add, Michelle, I just found it. Apparently, I did not see it, but I was also in and out of town during
Yeah.
a period of time. And so there's a little tiny pocket of unopened emails date, but I did get it. So thank you for doing that. You know, it occurs to me that we also talked about, we did talk about internal communication, and then we also kind of seemed like we landed in a place where format that was discussed was an email that would spread kind of some good news to external stakeholders like the chamber and city commissioners and net rep.
Okay, I missed that part then, that you wanted it to go external.
Well, I don't know that those stakeholders really care whether, you know, the left door on the side alley is locked, but that email that you did send, the mayoral update one, is really great. And I just had a minute to glance at it, and I wish I would have noticed it when it came because I was just out of town. But I think we did discuss that other format as kind of a
Okay.
option. Does anybody else remember it differently or have other thoughts about this? I think it was kind of something that Commissioner Wheeler and I were sort of on the same page with.
Okay.
I'm just looking back at our minutes from last time, and I'm happy to follow up with you on that, and
Sure.
we can see if that's something. So what are your plans for the mayoral updates? How frequently will they go out, and what are your thoughts on that?
We are looking at doing those twice a month. So the next one, I don't know if those of us outside of the building realize it or not, but the assessor's office did move. Well, they moved, they opened another door. So where you used to come in to early vote in the courthouse is now an entrance to the assessor's office.
Okay, so getting that information out.
Getting that information out. That happened after I sent the email, and so we didn't include it in that one, but definitely some buzz downstairs about that. I think that happened quicker than anyone thought it was going to.
You mean the email?
Well, the opening of the assessor's office.
Oh, gotcha.
Expanding into that space had been discussed, but I think they did that to better protect their employees.
Great. I don't have anything else to add or say about that email, but I realize, Michelle, that you haven't had a chance to look at it. Sherry, any feedback from you, or Brenda, any feedback from you on that email?
No, I was just looking through Joe's email and I had mistakenly not put Michelle's name on there. It's probably because she was out of town, but I can forward that on to her now. But That was my mistake. I'm sorry, Michelle.
No problem, Sherry. I just wanted to make sure we knew that it didn't go anywhere else. 'Cause
Yeah.
there-
And Michelle, can you help me understand some of the back and forth about email lists and who has what list and whether she emailed everyone versus department heads? And it seems like maybe that's some sort of important key to this process that I don't understand.
Sure. When I came into my position, that was 13 years ago or 12 years ago, not counting the time I worked at the highway department, we often didn't have a way to communicate with employees. So I drafted email lists so that I could generate a list of employee emails in an Outlook group, and then I separate elected officials, department heads in an email group. Anything I have that I send out relating to information employees should know that relates, to employment, their benefits, important information. I've been taking, like during the COVID-19 situation, any of Joe's emails and forwarding those on to employees. But I do separate those out. I have two groups, and I think it's the employees very much appreciate having an email from me to tell them things like, don't forget to do this for your biometrics, or,
Sorry.
I'm going to be out of the office for a set period of time, that sort of thing. So I send those communications out just because I'm somewhat the source for employees. And we found that it goes, employees will read what I send versus if they just do something else. So, I've done that through this COVID-19 situation and shared that with employees just to keep them in the loop. But I do send out anything that anybody asks me to, that sort of thing. I will forward that on to the employee database list that I have. Does that help clear it up?
It does. It sounds like it's been a really good process and you've managed it really well for a long time. And so with this email that Susan sent out, I'll just say really quickly, it covers sort of entrances, exits, some of the details around entering the courthouse, some of the details around the opening of the Justice Center, a little bit about archives, libraries, and the UT Extension Office. Is that material that historically you would have just sent straight to all 500 employees using both of your lists?
It would be anything the mayor asked me to send to employees, I would just then forward to the employees in the email group that I have. It is not all employees. All employees do not have an email. It is probably a group of 275 employees, 300. Our 500 employee count is full-time, part-time, and for a little less than 50% have email access. So it always goes to the employees and to the elected officials, asking them to please post or please share as well. But anytime the mayor has anything like that email or some of the other COVIDs that we have sent out, I do forward those on to the employees and let them know that there's an email from the mayor attached, that sort of thing.
Great. And so, well, just the last question in the chain of questions was, do you feel like the process we have here where our communications director sends out to heads and lets them make a decision about whether employees get that correspondence is appropriate? Or do you feel like the communications director should communicate directly with our 300 or whatever number of employees as you have done in the past? What's the best course in your, because you've got the most experience with this in this county of anyone on the call. So that's why I'm asking.
I think it works well now. I think that, employees, I'll speak honestly that if employees get overwhelmed with emails, they'll stop reading the important ones that I send. I think they need to be very specific, like the email of the entrance to the courthouse, and then the email that I sent when we closed the courthouse and told employees what would happen, that sort of thing. I don't mind at all if there's things that need to be shared, Susan can let me know and I can forward it on to employees. I think we just need to be a little specific and make sure that we're not overwhelming employees. Because again, in my experience, when I first came here, there would be open enrollment notices that were 2 pages long. They don't
Right.
read it 2 pages long. And my emails are very, very clear, very concise with the information they need so that they will look at them. And generally, when I have something to send out, I send no more than 1 thing a week. Occasionally I'll have something and I'll need to send twice, but I really try to make sure that I'm not overwhelming employees with information that they won't find useful or helpful.
And Jodi, this is Brenda. Let me add to this because you'll find it quite funny. The system has not only worked with my years at the sheriff's office, but it works here because sometimes at the sheriff's office, from the top, we may not be in the loop. And if it weren't for Michelle, because it's such a big department, thank God we were in the loop. You know, so otherwise you may not find out about AFLAC renewal or something. Now, over here, it's a little bit easier. But I have taken for granted over the years, if Michelle's going to tell the department head and the employees, I don't even have to worry about following up. I do, and I'm like, hey, did everyone get this? Yeah, Brenda, we got the email from Michelle. But there's such a process here, and this is where it's funny. I have a handful, like literally 5, that do not even deal with email. So there's a process when Michelle sends an email, they know to print it out and give it to the non-email people. It is hysterical.
Oh,
So
that's
it is
awesome.
a process, Jodi, that it does work. It was a godsend at the sheriff's office. And please know I'm not saying anything negative. It's just it's too big of an operation and things never got trickled down. And we banked on Michelle to tell the jail administrator, to tell the person over patrol, to tell the person over support. And it's just a process that always worked. That way Michelle could go back to not necessarily employees, but to individual department heads like, hey, Downs or hey, Flo at the jail, I still don't have these 3 detention officers renewal, versus having to go to somebody else at the sheriff's office, wait for it. My favorite word is the process, and the process really has worked.
That's great. So
I hate
go
to
ahead.
jump in here, but I've got a situation I need to go take care of, and I know this is my meeting about me, but we're trying to get the Justice Center wired up. And Michelle, have you heard that they want us out of the courthouse by 4 today because of the protesters?
I did. Steve just came by just a moment ago, and
Okay.
he actually asked me to leave by 3:30.
Okay.
He said, I don't want to have to walk you to your car. So
Yeah, I know.
he is he's saying that.
So anyway, this is a different day, different kind of day, Jodi, just so you know.
It's okay. It was just kind of a bad lightning strike, but we did get through a little bit of business and I appreciate it. I think what I would love for people to do is just really attend to these mayoral updates. And if they are making it to people, and Michelle just kind of observing, you know, what in those is useful to send on to all employees versus allowing department heads to make an executive decision there. Allison, what were you gonna add?
Well, and if we're concluding the meeting, but I did think that this presents an opportunity about the structure of county government. And I've sent emails to Michelle to send on, and she says they're from me. And when I have sent memos from the mayor through Michelle, that there's an attachment that then goes on to the employees. So then legally, you know, Michelle Stewart is the person who administers the employee compensation, not employee compensation, but employee benefits. And so she also has some sensitive information that sometimes she's charged with. So I know that down the road, we'll be talking about the structure of county government. And I thought this was a good introduction about that, because how the information flows should, from a legal perspective, flow as constitutional office holders with autonomy over their employees, so that it goes through them, even though they're county employees. So just, I think that's a good place to start. And then while we're all here, if I did get a call for this meeting, for speaking of communication, to request the information that was to be discussed. So I would rather not tell people that they have to make a open records request for the documents for the communications task force. So if we reconvene, if we're going to consider information, you might want to consider ways to share that on the website along with the agenda.
You know what I realized is that I did process minutes last time, but we did not vote on them. We didn't approve the minutes at the beginning of the meeting. So my apologies. I'm pretty new at this whole record keeping game. I will follow up with you on that, Allison. And why don't we try to schedule in 2 weeks to discuss the social media policy and maybe the other email issue. Susan, do you mind to send out like what do you call it, scheduling email?
I can do that
All right, that'd be super. Couple weeks
because
out.
I'm wrapping my cords.
We'll hold part 2 of this awesome, very exciting meeting. Does anybody want to move to adjourn? Susan, maybe you should do that.
I think I would like to move to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Excellent.
I don't have a vote.
I'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.